Leases and licences, Mayor, is on the assignment is on council approval, not the officer approval. That's why I'm voting against it.
Okay.
And I'd like it recorded. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I'd like my vote recorded against it. You're right.
Would you vote against it though?
Okay, I think the staff actually know they'll probably come back to us anyway as well.
So it's giving it value.
Yeah.
And maybe we should look at the council ones that are like that.
Okay, let's change them all.
If you see a councillor drive and an officer driving around in a new car, you know what's happened.
Right. Or a Segway. The car taken off them.
Or a Segway. Are they called Segway?
The car's gone.
All right, item number 14.
This one's on the renewal of existing grazing licences in the Mangakino area. And the suggested resolution you see in front of you is the one which was approved at the Mangakino representative group at its meeting in May.
Yeah, I'd like to move the suggested resolution.
Everyone's got the tabled information of what we received.
Yeah.
Just a query, Alan, with grazing and that, you know, in some of our lands around Taupo, do we put out that to public tender or?
The previous licences were set following a tender process,
Right.
and then they were done again for the next licence, but the previous tender winners won the next tender. But there's no obligation to do so, and my recommendation is simply to renew those licences.
There's a bit of debate just out there in the community about the stuff around town, about certain, the tenders and that sort of thing. So we tendered for that grazing. Sorry, not to do with this item here, but
You mean the EUO one?
yes.
So, yeah, I can answer off the EUO if you like. So the tender process was run probably 4 years ago, and the last council signed it off, I think, 3 years ago. Right. And so, as you know, you've probably seen all the bales that have been bailed off here. So, I can't recall I think it might be 5 years. It is quite long term, and the reason it needs to be long term is that the person who's leasing it has got a lot of crops, so they need to be able to. They've got a lot of capital investment. Need to be able to do what was coming into the council.
and next time we'll be covered. Yep. Okay, it's been moved. Councillor Brennan, seconded by Councillor Park. Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Okay, back to 10. Yeah, where were we? Who was Susan not here though? Next, Sue, so the issues were the wording.
The legal advice we've received is that we should, the changed wording should be included in the resolution. And the changed wording relates to the Tuporotoa Street car park story box, which I will read you now. Top of page, yeah.
33.
33. So the changes
What's the numbers?
on the very bottom of the attachment document.
The red line section.
Here.
So the one that looks like that, and at the bottom it says page 33. So instead of reading while the council identified, it would read the council identified option 1 selling the site as its preferred choice when it went out for consultation, full stop. Once submissions were considered, the council decided that it would defer any future sale for a period of 12 months pending further investigations into market interest and any opportunities to work with adjoining property owners.
Yep.
Okay, so we will put that in the resolution.
So that'll go, does that have to go back to the other resolution you voted on or not?
So
Adjoining property owners.
the resolution will read. The resolution that reads, the first one, the Council adopts the annual plan including the funding impact statement. I think we have to amend that one to say adopts the annual plan including the funding impact statement as with the following amendments, and then we say on page 49 that the wording is taken out that we've proposed, and that the new wording that I read out is inserted. Then that's really clear. For Tū Wharetāua. Now the other change.
Just to clarify, we wouldn't go back to that agenda item 7 and amend that resolution. That's fine as it stands?
No, that's fine as it stands, yeah. We're just changing ours in relation to your resolution that you've made today. And then the other change would be on page 66 of the attachment, which talks about the summary of changes from the draft annual plan. And that one needs to change in a few areas. Under 2, it says changes to the plan due to changes in timing or other events. And the first bullet point says the financial tables have been revised to incorporate the updated figures. It needs to say the financial tables and funding impact statement have been revised to incorporate updated figures. Under 3, which reads amendments to the plan arising from typographical or other minor errors. I think we need to take the word minor out and just say other errors. And the first bullet point, a new one, would be added saying an opening balance error in the Lake Taupo Protection Rate Reserve Fund has been corrected. And then continue as it does at the moment. So those are the changes that we're proposing to make to the final document that is Appendix 1, or Attachment 1.
Just to clarify, Your Worship, then does the correction or the footnote that I have requested...
Oh, and your footnote, you're right. Yeah, no, you are right, and your footnote.
I know you were just testing me.
It was.
Thank you.
And the footnote is on page, it's right near the beginning. Page 5. Yeah, it's page 4 of the annual plan, but page 5 of the attachment, under the Mayor and Councillors' message. And the footnote is attached saying, Councillor Krastowski was elected through a by-election during the process of the development of the draft annual plan. What date was it?
Just read that out again, what you just said there, Sue.
Councillor Krastowski was elected through a by-election on the, what date did you say, sorry? 6th of June?
Yes.
Sworn in on
Yes, it's the 6th.
Sworn in.
But was that public?
Well, okay, and it was elected and sworn in as a councillor. So was not a councillor during the development of the draft annual plan? You don't even need to say that? No, okay. Because it's clear. So there's those 3 amendments that we need to include in that first resolution.
Okay, all right. So, okay, so we actually, that all goes in this resolution, does it?
Yes,
Okay,
it does,
so the
unfortunately,
wording
but
of it-
that way it's really clear.
Of everything?
What the changes are.
Making sure we cover our tracks.
You don't want to mistake again.
Okay. All right, okay. So we've got the suggested resolution. Does anyone want to talk to the resolution? I have a mover for the suggested resolution.
I'll move the suggested resolution 1, 2 and 3 with the amendments highlighted.
Councillor King, I have a seconder for that. Thanks, Councillor Harvey. Do I have any people would like to speak in favour or against the resolution? I would like to put the resolution.
Put it, Your Worship. I will again express my disappointment with some of the way things have worked. I voted against the draft going out. I accept that the time for further debate on some of the issues facing us is the long-term plan, so I will be putting my vote in favour of adopting the 3 resolutions. Councillor Hickling, have you got any final comments as the original?
Well, only to congratulate the staff and the councillors on a job well done.
All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carry. Thank you. Here's on the CEO. Thanks, Sue.
Excuse me.
No way.
Tony. Item number 11. We've got a separate piece of paper. Good afternoon, Tony and Neil.
Good afternoon. So we've now that we've resolved and the funding impact statement, we can resolve to set the rates. So this is the rates resolution, and we have to do this under Section 23 of the Local Government Rating Act so that we can levy the rates and expect people to pay them. So yeah, like this says, we're going to. It allows us to levy the rates and charge the penalties, and it allows us to have a penalty date for each of the 4 instalments. And so so we'll go through it a bit. I don't know, yeah, so we start off with the general rate. So these are the rates that we're going to set for next year. So we've got the general rate first on the second page, or third if you want to go over there. And so those rates are set on a differential basis, and those are the rates in the dollars that we've got. Our uniform annual general charge is $250, it hasn't changed. We go through to the sewer rate. So first pan $6.96 and so on the sliding scale down through the sewer line for Waitanui. We've made a little change there. We've changed the word part to portion in the targeted rates for water, and those are listed out there, what each of them are for each water scheme, and all the way down to the metered water supply, where we took out under the provisions of this section.
Sorry, question.
Councillor Freeman.
Sorry, I might be very naive, but is it supposed to be whakaaro? Was it supposed to be whareroa?
No.
Whakaaro,
Yeah.
it is.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So whereabouts is that? That one?
That way.
Okay. I was thinking south. Yeah. I don't know where that is. Okay, cool.
Okay, so then we've got the metered water charges, and then down through refuse, all the way down to lake protection, where we've changed the word levied to assessed, and in the town centre Taupo rate we've changed the word part to portion again, and on the last page we've added in the word rateable under the Turangi-Tongariro Community Board rate, and added the word respectively in the penalty charges, and then that part there, part 14, outlines our penalties and the dates for penalty, etc.
Any questions or queries?
Just a very quick question. I probably should have asked Mr. Manhattan when I was in his office this morning. I've noticed looking at some of the rates on properties, the capital value for the general rate multiplied by the in this case 0026 doesn't come out. Is that because if you had a profit of 100,000, it might, instead of being 100,000 times that, it might be 99 because it carries a remission? Would that be correct?
You're right.
Because that's the question I've been asked, and someone has said, how do I work out the general rate? I say multiply it, they come back and say it doesn't work. So that's the reason.
Yes, that's right.
Councillor Krasowski.
Just a point for future reference as regards to when we talk about metered water supply and water schemes, seeing we're debating bylaws of water use, we need to be careful that the terminology or the wording that we have here carries over to the bylaw and that there's no conflict between the two.
Any other questions or queries? Councillor Jollins.
Thank you, Your Worship. Could I just get a clarification from staff that the rates and everything in here are exactly what we went out for consultation? There are no other changes apart from what was discussed? In terms of the words, as you just...
Oh, yeah, and the words,
Yeah.
yep.
No other changes?
No.
None.
The numbers changed as a result of the changes that you made, and as a result of you refreshed the numbers based on the number of rateable properties that have come on between the draft and the final. So just for clarification.
Yeah, no, that's good to have that clarified.
Okay. Thanks, Tony. Any other questions for Tony O'Neill?
Well, the only, sorry, I apologise. The only, I read what happened in September last year. We had to add those words in about the penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a requirement to actually state what the penalty is? So
Just 10%. It's just 10%. Yeah, so we've done that.
So that'll be included so that the ratepayer, if he knows he's going to be at 10% worse off. Okay.
Okay, suggested resolution there.
And just so we're clear too. Yeah. Just so that we're all clear, the resolution includes all of these charges. It's those words there and the rates and charges that makes the whole resolution.
So it's going to be a whole resolution.
So last year we just had the words. That's where we come unstuck.
So
We just had those little words. Yeah.
14. Okay.
I can't believe I just
resolution. Councillor Park, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Truman. Thank you very much. And just with the the whole lot. Is that right?
Okay. Further clarification, just with my colleague Councillor Hickling. The resolution on this piece of paper is the same as the agenda. And I'll just ask Barry to check, does the paper say the 10% because the resolution doesn't?
At the back. Does it say it?
Oh, it's on the back.
Including that, there's a resolution section.
Probably the longest resolution we've ever moved.
So that's the whole resolution.
Respectively.
So, I just can't remember now. Councillor Park and Councillor Truman. Anyone want to speak for or against? Can you say the last word, Anna? No? Okay. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carry. Thanks, Tony. Thank you very much. Thanks, Neil. 16, Dennis. Welcome back. Okay, so we heard earlier regarding this Lake Terrace coming. I suppose you want to add anything, Dennis?
Yeah, if I can just summarise. Going back 3 or 4 years in the previous training, Council expressed the desire to have the speed limit on Lake Terrace out at 2 Mile Bay permanently reduced to 50 k to get rid of that seasonal between 50 and 70. My advice, and it's still that advice, that to permanently reduce to 50 k, you need to do something else other than just change the speed distance. This is insufficient signals to drivers to drive at 50k. The scheme was then put through to the council and they considered it, and that's what we've gone out to implement. If you don't want to reduce the speed to 50k, that's a call that you can make. It's one of the options that councillors should consider. If you want to provide pedestrian refuges for people to cross the road to make it easier, that's a choice you can also make. The choice is yours. I can provide my professional advice as to whether what we should and shouldn't be doing. The choice is yours.
Okay. All right. So providing these enhancements, in your view, make the road safer. People crossing the road.
It will provide areas for people to cross the road.
And
can't guarantee that will make people safer.
Waste the money.
People do.
Yep.
People will do stupid things.
Exactly. And it's been a project that's built up over 10 or 12 years, and we've indicated that we're going to do this at the last long-term plan, was it, or the last annual plan?
It was through the last long-term plan and through 13, 14.
So it's been gone through two processes, basically. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I believe, Your Worship, that at the meeting in Turangi, a resolution was not put because we were debating tendering. That resolution may be like to be put again, that we abandon the traffic calming at 2 Mile Bay, but we work with the authorities to ensure that the speed limit is reduced from the 50k to the 100k sign as it is at the moment, or words to that effect. No, what goes right out to the piece going up the hill. The reason I say that, Your Worship, I sat out for an hour and a half on the corner of Lake Terrace and Tongariro at Queen's birthday weekend. 6 parties crossed the one you've got there. 2 parties used it. The other 4 parties, and they were between 4 and 5 people in each group, 10 metres down the street. They walked across without walking that 10 metres to come across. And it's a bit like the one outside the office. It's an unnecessary expense. I believe the speed limit will do the job.
So you're moving a resolution on that?
Along the words that we aim to have the speed restrictions reduced.
Permanently, not seasonally.
Permanently, that's a confusion, that 70 site.
Like you said, comes back, you can't.
We can't, can we?
There's no seconder just at this
I
stage.
previously advised that I doubt whether we will get that speed
it's not going to happen.
through the NZTA process.
Therefore, the barriers may be of no use whatsoever.
Well, just to explain the barriers are called boundary conditions, or there's another word for it as well. In fact, it might even be here in gateways and boundary thresholds. That's the word I was looking for. Under the NZTA rules, you need the thresholds to change in order to change the speed limit. You can't just take a road and change the sign. You physically have to change something about the environment before NZTA would accept a change in the speed limit. That is the battle that has always been faced in that location, is because the road is quite wide and nothing has changed other than the painting. NZTA would not approve changes to the speed limit, and that will always be the case until something physically changes. And that's where this project started, and that's where this project has continued to operate, let's say.
Councillor Christowski?
Yeah, thank you for that, and I'm going to play my role as a devil's advocate here. If my memory serves me correctly, is that part of the walking and cycling strategy, in order to give effect to it, I think we have to be seen to make positive steps for the safety and welfare of particularly the young kids and the cyclists. Furthermore, I personally, although I won't be voting it, I personally would suggest that people are more important than cars. And I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Councillor Harvey?
Sorry, yes, I just would like it clarified what the cost is and what it's for. So we're talking about traffic calming. Is this for barriers in the middle of the road? Can somebody explain exactly what it is?
The project went following the May 2013 meeting. The project was went out which involved the thresholds at sidewalk intersection at just south of Rainbow Point, another threshold, which is big signs, coloured pavement treatment, and there was pedestrian refuge.
It means something in the middle of the road?
Something in the middle of the road. Pedestrian refuge, sign is this. Slightly larger where you couldn't walk straight through, one of those at just south of Rainbow Point, and also a pedestrian refuge at the vicinity of the 2 Mile Bay Yacht Club in Taupo District, in that area there.
So we're talking about doing several things?
Yes.
Down that stretch?
Yes.
Thank
that
you.
tender package came in at about 214,000. In my last report, I recommended that we negotiate with the contractor to reduce the scope of the work to have the 2 pedestrian refuges and the threshold treatment where the current 100, 50, 170 is at the moment just south of the Rainbow Point intersection.
And then some of that's funded by NZTA, isn't it?
And that's funded 53%.
And Barry said this morning, is that partly going to be funded by who?
NZTA.
So what's it going to cost the council? Can somebody just clarify?
70,000.
47% of 144,000.
65,000.
So we're talking about 65,000 now.
Yeah.
Right.
Not this, sorry.
Councillor Cousins, then
So
Councillor.
is yours relating to that? 'Cause you can go first.
Not, okay, so we're talking about 67,000.
For the council share.
Right.
Share.
So, because in this it says 214,000 and something. So that was the lowest tender. This is where I'm confused.
Yeah.
214,000 was the 10%. 144, and I'm talking about total cost here. What I was recommending was reducing the scope of the work, so the total cost of the work was around about 144,000. Of that 144,000, 53% of it would be funded by NZTA.
And is that in our budget or not?
Yes.
So it's budgeted work?
Yes.
Right, so what are we talking about here?
Yeah, exactly.
We can leave it till next year and spend the money then.
Councillor Cousins.
I'm sorry, that still confused me. So then why? So what? Where is the? We need a figure here which says we're paying $65,000. Do we not? Is that what we should have here? Is that what we're signing off on, isn't it?
No, you're signing off on the contract.
The report that I had from the last meeting was a tender.
It is here as item 16.
Yes, it is item 16, which is the reproduction of the report that I submitted at the last meeting.
And it's still, once again, I come back to what I said earlier on today. We've got hot spots all around the area where there's been deaths. This is a 10-year-old issue or 11-year-old issue. I question it.
Councillor Williamson.
That's how long it's taken us to get the.
Yeah, I know, but it's just going to take that long. That obviously shows that there's issues there, and no one can agree on the problem, and whether this is only a half fix. 50% fix only.
The community certainly agree that there's a problem there.
Councillor Williamson.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I was just picking up on what Councillor Dickinson mentioned this morning about the NZTA. That was the point I was making about the cost, the overall cost to council. Perhaps at the last meeting, if that had been, I don't know, may have been explained by Dennis, if it had been explained, we might have perhaps had a different result.
Understand it.
Councillor Donnells.
I guess I just want to make the point. I mean, what I take out of this paper is, yes, we acknowledge that there's something that needs to be done on this road. The issue is that we don't have enough money to do it, so we're going to spend some money for a half-baked solution, which we acknowledge in the paper, and the options is not going to address the speed limit, the speeding issue, which is the issue. So, to me, it's like I can't quite afford something, but I'll go and spend some money anyway just to halfway get there. The other point I want to make is when that road becomes into our ownership, we do have some more say into what the speed limit is on that. We don't?
No.
None at all?
We would have to fund it.
I'll give you another example. Hugh Street, for example, is in our ownership. The speed limit is 50 kilometres an hour on Hugh Street. We undertook a project that completely changed the nature of Hugh Street, and therefore if we now applied to NZTA to reduce the speed limit on Hugh Street to 30 kilometres an hour, we would probably succeed in doing that. However, if we tried to change the speed limit on the balance of Hugh Street, to 30, it would probably be unsuccessful because we haven't done anything physically to the road.
Saying, but if we apply that logic to this piece of road here, are a couple of pedestrian crossings going to get NZTA to rechange their focus?
Possibly not.
Possibly not, correct. And that's the point I want to make. It's spending money. I believe that, there is an issue here. Safety is an issue. But it's not a solution that's going to deliver the results that this community needs. So we're spending money for the sake of spending it. That's my point.
I disagree with you.
Yeah, I don't agree.
We'll apply some correction to the issue. It won't supply the whole total solution, but something is better than nothing, really, especially when it comes to safety.
Absolutely.
If NZTA already see that there's a problem over summer, they already reduce it. They must already have that, in their mind that it needs reduction. So even a small change might help make that happen.
Councillor Harvey and then Councillor Harvey.
I mean, we are here to look after the needs of the community as far as I'm aware. And this is obviously something that's been widely mooted and needed, and these are the sorts of things we should be doing. As far as I can see, it's budgeted, it's going to be partly paid for, and this is the sort of thing that will give us some kudos. I think it's quite important, to be honest, and I think, why has it gone on so long, and let's bloody well get on with it.
Yes, mate.
Yes, so the cost of this reduced scope based on 44 and financial considerations, insufficient funding for this work in Council's Lake Terrace traffic calming budget with 156k allocated. I don't get it. You're saying Council's share is 80, is what, 60 odd? 60.
Yes.
So, can you explain that sentence?
Certainly, the 151 is what's currently in the plan, and that's total funded. We don't split out the council share and the NZTA share when we talk about the funding.
We have an income line as well.
Yeah.
We have an expenditure of the full project and an income off the.
And then we send them an invoice and they pay.
And then they're watching on webcam or whatever else. I just wanted that clarified.
What I'll also say is that the financial assistance rate for local authorities is dropping. So every year from now on, you will receive less money from NZTA, and that's an issue that we'll raise during the long-term plan process for you to consider.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your Worship, the biggest issue is the fact that since this arose 11 years ago, when the child was killed at Rainbow Point, we've had a bypass going. I gave you figures this morning to say that traffic had dropped from 1,100 and something to 11,000 something a week to 5,000. It's not an issue. It's not an issue.
How do you know it's not an issue?
It's an issue.
Because
people have tried across the road.
Because I've sat and watched the barriers in town being used, and people don't use them. They're not going to walk 30 metres up the road to use a barrier when
you've got kids, mate.
When they can come straight across.
It's a busy boat ramp.
When you've got
and it's a wide
children,
road.
People will walk 50 metres to get to a safe crossing. Sorry. Yeah. But, all right. Okay, well, I think we've
I move the
reasonable
resolution.
discussion on this.
Got to move up.
I move the resolution.
I'll second the resolution, Your Worship.
Okay, so as it is, the suggested resolution, negotiate construction. Moved by Councillor Harvey, seconded by Councillor Hickley. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Perhaps a show of hands. So the motion is carried. Thank you.
You ask those again?
Yes. No, I'm just going to ask now. So, would you like that recorded?
I'd like it recorded just with a comment, and I take Rosie's comment about
they can't comment. You voted against the motion. So it's Councillor Boddy, Councillor Jollins, and Councillor Cuthell. Thank you.